I'm going to try to do this one take. I have never taught concertina before. So we have some extremely profound new ideas. It's ridiculous ideas on the concertina I discovered this morning. And before we get into that, we're going to really quickly summarize every skill and the exact order you need to learn those skills in, especially regarding this piece. So the first topic is learning rhythm by sight. And learning rhythm by ear might seem more intuitive, might seem easier at first, might seem more approachable, but you'll very quickly notice that learning by sight is a very powerful supplemental tool, if anything, because you'll have to combine it in the future. So the first step to learning by sight is to learn how to count rhythm. Then the first step to learning how to count rhythm is listening to what a metronome sounds like. So in this case, we have 60 quarter notes, 60 beats per minute. This is a tempo we're very familiar with, 60 beats per minute. And we happen to have four quarter notes in a measure. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's different. In this case, the way you count it is you count out a full measure, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then subdivisions of quarter notes, you're going to call it something different. So like eighth notes, we're going to call it, instead of 2, 3, 4, you're going to call it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you'll notice it's just subdivision. And then 16 notes is just 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, and you'll notice it overlaps, right? And then triplets are a little bit weird, but it's 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. And yeah, it gets really interesting later on, but you really only need to focus on quarter notes and eighth notes for now. The next thing is you listen. Okay, so first step, you listen to the tempo. So you listen to the metronome. Second step, you count out a full measure. And the third step, you count out the rest with the subdivisions. So I'm just going to demonstrate. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Rest, rest. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Rest, rest. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Rest, rest. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah. Now, after you count it out, and then after you find where the notes are, you locate them, your next step is to do the 1-for-1 that I showed you. 1-for-1 means anytime you press a note, you immediately press the next note. There's no delay. That's detached, right? But you don't want to, yeah, it's 1-for-1. And you do not add any dynamics or expression into this, because that's the next step. You have to get the rhythm down first before you can play with the rhythm and play with the dynamics. So let me just demonstrate that real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, rest. My bad. Hands were in the right position. But after you get that 1-4-1. It sounds really boring. There's no expression. It's very robotic and right. Now, after you get that down to perfection, you can do the left side, same deal. So I'll just demonstrate that real quick. Okay. And interesting, the left side doesn't have that much rhythm, but you can still count it out. You should. So step 1, listen to the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Sorry, my bad. Okay. After you get the left hand down, you can start playing with one-handed. You can add a little bit more expression, add more dynamics. So you'll notice that you can first just add dynamics too. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Right? And then now you can play with timing. Now after you get that robotic version 1-4-1 down, you can play with timing a little bit. You can subtract a little bit, add a little bit. So I'm just going to demonstrate real quick. I mean, yeah, so there's so many versions you can do, but also not all music you can play around with that. Some music, like romantic music, classical music, they're actually extremely strict on what rhythm you're allowed to move or not, but in this case, we're not going to worry about that. So the next step after that is you try to combine both hands, right? In this case, the left hand doesn't have too much rhythm. It's really just one note. So the trick is to treat that first note as an anchor, and you treat this action of left and right hand pressing down that note, you treat that as one note, right? So I'm just going to demonstrate. So it's the same process. You listen to the metronome, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. But instead of 1 being one note here, 1 is this action. So my bad. Okay. So let me try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so after you get that down, you would think that's the end because you notice that the left hand is very loud, and unfortunately, uh, bellow instruments, the dynamics is coupled on the left and right side, so you can't really um, play with independent dynamics, right? So but that's not true. It's not true. You would think that's true, right? It is coupled. There's actually an extremely small window where you can control the dynamics. It's not actually 0 or 1. Unlike harpsichord plucking a string, this is a valve. And the valve is not either closed or open. There's a very small window where it's half open. So if you can control that and feel where that interval is, it's actually possible somehow to have noticeable independent dynamics. You can also play with timing, and then there's many more concepts that are less relevant, but I'll just show you one of them. It's the idea that when you press a valve, and you press a second valve, you open one valve. When you open another valve, the first valve will decrease sharply. The volume will decrease sharply, but not too noticeably, but it will decrease sharply. And the more notes you play, like chords, this first valve, the dynamic will decrease sharply. Just a lot of things you can play and practice on. But yeah, before we get to that, though, that's some ridiculous, kind of absurd technique for now. But the main thing is you have to get that rhythm, and then get your voicing and phrasing on one side, and the other side perfect. Now, one last thing to address. We thought that the left side was too loud, but it's actually not the case. So, ironically, the accordion, the right side is regulated to be louder than the left side on the accordion, but on the concertina it's actually equal. It's actually equal. The reason the left hand sounds louder is because I'm just gonna demonstrate. I don't know. Okay. Okay. See, it's really just whichever hand is playing more notes, and your left hand happens to be playing chords, so it sounds louder. If your right hand is playing chords, it sounds louder. So, interestingly, it's the accordion that is regulated unevenly. Now, the accordion's a bigger instrument, so it does have its own new mechanics around that. It his own mechanisms. The left side on the accordion, they somehow dampen chords, but then the individual notes don't dampen. It's very interesting. But on concertina, because we only have one set of valves, there's actually no way around it, right? Well, no way around it in the sense that we don't want to have it regulated. If you regulate that left side to be softer than the right side, then you won't be able to play loud melodies on the left side. So it's actually just a compromise, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, and by the way, in the future, we will be able to replicate the accordion's like half valving system, and like I don't even know what it called. Right. Whatever, however they pull that off. But interestingly, like all the skills you're gonna be learning with these half valve, like pressing, timing, or it all transfers straight over once you have a better instrument. So like it's just so interesting that with this you actually get something accordion can't, because accordion is actually, in my opinion, too soft on the left side. You lose out on some polyphonics, whereas on the concertina it's actually equal. Now,